This is the SAU Report, a program featuring interviews with the faculty, staff, students, and alumni of Southern Arkansas University in Magnolia.
Welcome to this edition of the SAU Report. I'm Tamika Gulley.
And I'm Jamey Giddens. Today our guest is Dr. Daniel L. Bernard, Assistant Professor of Counselor Education and Associate Dean of Education for Graduate Studies here at SAU. Dr. Bernard, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm originally from Louisiana, so I'm not too far from home while living here in Magnolia. My background comes in counseling and counselor education, of course. I did my undergraduate work at the University of Southwestern Louisiana in Lafayette. Of course, it's called University of Louisiana in Lafayette now. They changed the name on us. Did my master's work at Louisiana Tech University in Ruston, Louisiana. And I did my doctoral work in counseling and counselor education at the University of North Carolina in Greensboro.
What was your career before you became an educator?
I was a business administrator. After I graduated from USL, I went into the insurance business. I worked on the corporate side for many years, and my last position was vice president of an insurance firm.
So what made you make the switch from corporate life to educational?
Okay, that's a great question, and it's a long story, and I'll make it short for you. While I was in business, my daughter was in school, and she was trying to make a decision about what she would major in when she went to college. And so she came to me and we began to talk about it, and one of the things that she wanted to be was a counselor. In fact, she wanted to be a Christian counselor is what she wanted to be. And so like a good dad, I did some homework for her and did some research for her. But in the meantime, I guess you could say I got hooked on the same idea about being a counselor in the counseling profession. And consequently, I went back to school, and that's when I attended Louisiana Tech in Ruston to get my master's degree in counseling.
Would you ever consider going back to corporate business?
No. No. It was nice. I did enjoy certain aspects of it, but it wasn't, money is not necessarily the best satisfaction. To me, intrinsic rewards are more important, and I wanted to be a helping profession, and counseling seemed to be the right place for me.
Were you able to maintain your career while you went to school, or did you just go to school full-time?
No, I went to school part-time while earning my master's degree in counseling. And let me tell you what happened to me while I was earning my master's degree and after I graduated, of course. I really wasn't satisfied with just a counseling degree, because with that degree, of course, I could be a counselor, but I couldn't do any more than that. And I got to the point where I wanted to have more impact on larger numbers of people and just to be more involved in counseling and counselor education. So then I chose to go on to get my doctorate in counseling and counselor education so I can do what I'm doing today, and that is teaching others how to be counselors at the graduate level, of course. And of course, here at SAU, I'm also an administrator.
You said your area of specialization is counseling. Is there one particular experience that made you want to go into that particular area?
Of course, I've been to counseling myself, and I encourage all of my students to go to counseling. Certainly that was an experience that helped me make that decision to do this, but also my experience with my daughter. That really got my attention there.
Dr. Bernard, tell us a little bit about the graduate program here at SAU.
Okay. SAU offers the MED degree, Master of Education degree, and our primary population are public school teachers that are seeking a master's degree in a number of the programs that we offer. We have elementary education, we have secondary education, we have library, media, and information specialist. We have kinesiology, or physical education. We have counseling. We have 3 counseling programs: elementary school counseling, secondary school counseling, and agency counseling. So someone coming to SAU to attend graduate school would get their degree, MED degree, in one of those programs.
I myself am...
I left one out, excuse me, and I'll get in trouble if I don't mention it. Education Administration, which is our newest program.
I'm not an education major, so are there any programs that are open for non-education majors?
Okay. The MED, like I said, is particularly designed to service a public school teacher seeking the master's degree. There is one program that we do have, and one of our largest programs, in fact, and that's our agency counseling. A teaching certificate or a teaching degree is not required to enter that program. And it's really a great program to be a part of. It's very marketable. It crosses a lot of disciplines. You not only can work in community agencies, but you can work for business and industry, federal government, the military. I mean, just a number of opportunities with that kind of degree.
What's the news on the possible Master of Liberal Arts that we've been hearing so much about lately?
If there's any news, I don't know very much about that. Certainly, it's something we would love to see here at SAU. At least I would, and I think a number of other folks too. MA and MS degrees certainly would be great to have here at SAU. But at this time, it's my understanding that that's not happening as we sit here, and I'm not sure what the possibilities are. It's something that we can only hope for, I suppose, at this stage.
As the Associate Dean of Graduate Studies, what are some of your duties?
Well, of course, I chair the Graduate Council, and the Graduate Council is the policy-making body for graduate studies. And by policy-making body, I mean in terms of academic policy. What curriculums do we provide? What courses do we provide? If we want to modify a course, certainly we go to the Graduate Council to consider that. Admission requirements, all of the policy, academic policy kinds of things are decided by that body. And certainly I work with them very close, provide them with information when they're trying to make decisions. Of course, in addition to being the graduate dean, I'm a faculty member, and certainly I have a long list of advisees that I work with, and I have students that are writing their thesis and final papers and things like that. So we stay busy, as Tamika knows, in the graduate office, in both realms, as a faculty member and as an administrator. There's plenty for us to do.
How invested do you feel SAU is in the graduate program as opposed to the undergraduate program?
Well, I don't know about as opposed to, but I've gotten a tremendous amount of support, all the way from Dr. Downing, who's the Dean of the School of Education, to the Academic Vice President, Dr. Ball, and Dr. Gamble. It's been a great experience for me, and I've seen our program grow, and I've seen our program change in a very positive way. And I think without their support, that wouldn't be possible.
There are various types of recruitment used to recruit undergraduate students. Is there any type of recruitment used to recruit graduate students? And if not, do you see that being implemented sometime in the future?
Okay. Recruiting for graduate studies primarily comes out of that office. We're not necessarily a part of the university recruitment process or admission process. So consequently, we do most of that ourselves, and we've been quite active, particularly in the last year. We've had a number of new programs, delivery programs, academic programs, and certainly we've been trying to market those and recruit students. We travel to public school systems, and we talk to teachers, and we talk to superintendents, we talk to principals, trying to recruit students to come here to SAU. We do advertising in the local newspapers in this area. I do interviews like this. The last one we did was for Channel 6 over in Texarkana at their station there. Those kinds of things is primarily what we do. We'd like to do more, certainly.
What do you view as some of the strengths and weaknesses of the program as it stands today?
The graduate program?
Mm-hmm.
I think the strengths in most graduate programs, if you look for strengths, you look at your faculty. We have a really strong faculty for all of our programs. We're really pleased with that part of what we do. I think things to improve, certainly we touched on earlier, we'd like to offer more. We'd like to offer more degrees, we'd like to offer more programs or areas of study to a more diverse population out there. We'd also like to expand our influence. Primarily at this time, our influence is Southwest Louisiana, maybe on the fringes of North Louisiana. And we would like to see that our influence or impact be much greater than that, at least maybe on a regional basis.
What types of financial aid are open for graduate students? Like, are there any departmental scholarships or fellowships or anything like that?
Sure. Certainly there are scholarships available, and the one particular scholarship that I play a role in to some degree is the graduate scholarship that comes out of our office. And what we do is we ask for nominations for students, or we ask for people to apply for that graduate scholarship, maybe I should say. And there's certain things that we'll look at by committee, and then we'll choose someone to be the recipient of that scholarship. We also have graduate assistantships. Some people don't look on that as being financial aid, but It's financial aid that you earn, certainly. It's not a matter of borrowing money. And at SAU, we're very lucky, very fortunate to have a number of graduate assistantships available to students that are interested. In fact, I think we have 35 available, and they're not necessarily always filled. Often there are vacancies for students to take advantage of. And it pays your tuition, plus you get a monthly salary of $500 for most assistantships. It varies from one to another, but for the most part, that's the amount of money that you get. It's a great way to pay you part of your way anyway through school. At the same time, it's a learning experience. You're in assistantships are scattered all over the campus in different departments, and we have 2 right there in graduate studies, as Tamika knows.
What would you say would be the general demographic for people who want to obtain their master's here at SAU?
Tell me what you mean by demographic in that context.
Age group?
Non-traditional primarily. Local primarily, not all, but primarily. Obviously, most are public school teachers because it's an MED degree, so that's who we attract primarily, except for the agency council. Married, children, another job, and certainly we take that in consideration in graduate studies. We know most of our students have family and career obligations. Consequently, we try to cater to their needs so they can meet those obligations and at the same time, have a legitimate opportunity to earn a master's degree. So most of our classes are at night. That's one of the ways that we try to do that. We try to have a heavy teaching course schedule in the summertime when we can, because a lot of teachers, of course, are off in the summer.
Do you find it's hard for some students to balance home and family and college life?
Yes, of course. All 3 are major responsibilities. I think to be a successful graduate student, to be planful, organized, dedicated and committed in a number of ways, those are all good attributes for success as a graduate student. And that balancing act between home and work and school, that's part of the deal. To be able to do that and to deal with the stress and so forth that goes along with it, you have to be committed and dedicated to earning your degree.
With all the difficulties that come along with obtaining a master's degree and having family and a regular job and all that, what would you say would be the percentage of people who obtain a master, who stick with the program? What would be the retention rate?
Pretty high. I don't have an exact figure for you, but my estimate would probably be 75, 80%, maybe higher. A part of that, I think, has to do with people that actually initiate the process have already committed themselves to being successful, to doing it. We go through an orientation process also with every new student that comes in the program. They come to sit with me, the graduate dean, and we try to inform them and give them as much insight as we can about what's expected of them as a graduate student and what they can expect from us as a graduate program. Trying to eliminate any surprises down the road or to resolve any fears that students might have when they first begin in graduate study. But I think the retention rate is really particularly high at this institution.
Dr. Bernard, it seems as if every 20 years there's pretty much a new study that says you have to have a certain degree to make it in the world. I guess for our parents' age group, it was you had to have a high school diploma. For us, it was college. Do you think that we're moving into a time where you will have to have a master's to be viable?
In certain disciplines, probably, but not in all. To give an example, currently in the technology field, there is so much opportunity and it's such a fast-growing discipline out there that it's probably at a stage where a bachelor's degree was sufficient. But I think at some point, it too will come around to the point where a master's degree is going to be needed. And of course, a master's degree, when you're trying to market yourself in whatever career aspirations you might have, a master's degree is an advanced degree, and no matter how you slice it on a resume, it looks good. Not only that, your training is extended beyond the bachelor level, and your employers know that. It also shows some other things about you as a person. that you were dedicated and committed enough to go beyond your bachelor's degree and that you decided to go in and get your master's. And you dealt with the rigors of that, which are beyond, again, that of an undergraduate degree. And employers know that too. They also know that you had to balance a lot of things like family, work, and school. That means you're organized, you're planful, and those are attributes they're looking for as well. Yeah, I would encourage anyone to get their master's degree, regardless of the field that they're in, including technology. I only alluded to technology because it may be one exception, at least currently anyway.
Sometimes when students transfer from one university to another, they lose hours. How well does SAU work with students in other universities in transferring hours in or transferring out?
Okay. In my experience, most universities that I've been associated with will transfer in 6 hours at the graduate level. Graduate programs run anywhere from 33 hours to 48 to 60 hours. I'm talking about at the master's level. So universities and graduate deans really scrutinize transfer of courses. And the reason for that is that we want to make sure that those courses meet our standards. We want to make sure it fits the plan of study for a student, that it meets all of our curriculum requirements. So we're a little cautious about transferring in other graduate hours. We want to make sure our students are getting the best that's available to them. And that's one way to do that. We look for continuity, consistency in the curriculum for a graduate student as well, and that's another way to do that. Now, this university will take 9 hours. We'll transfer in 9 hours. But most universities I've been associated with will only take 6. So we're somewhat liberal in that regard.
Dr. Bernard, while you previously stated that several fields are enhanced by obtaining a master's degree, do you find yourself in contact with some students who simply go to graduate school just to postpone the workforce?
Certainly possible. Don't know that I've necessarily been associated with students on this campus in that regard, but certainly that is a possibility. What I hope happens to those students that fit into that category is that while they're there, they get hooked, so to speak, on graduate study and begin to think more about career and what that degree can do for them, rather than just being a matter of postponing the inevitable, going out into the workforce. But I really haven't had that experience, particularly on this campus, fortunately for us. I think that speaks for where we are.
It takes an estimated 4 to 5 years to complete an undergraduate degree. How long would you say it takes to complete a master's degree for a student going on a continuous basis?
Okay, if by continuous, if you mean full-time,
Yes.
you can earn, it's possible to earn your degree in 2 years. It depends on the curriculum or the degree that you're looking for. A counseling degree in agency counseling is 48 hours. It's a little tougher to get it done in 2 years. You have 6 years from the date that you start to complete your degree here at SAU. And again, our programs run from 33 to 48 hours. So how long it takes you, really varies quite a bit. Most of our students are part-time because they're full-time employed.
What are some of the advancements you'd like to see made in our graduate program here?
At the risk of repeating myself, additional degrees, more programs.
You think are we lacking funding or?
Yeah, human resources, financial resources certainly always help and enhance those opportunities. The universities have missions, and those missions change, and that's something maybe might be possible here. Right now, currently, our mission is to have a MED, our Master of Education degree, at this institution in Arkansas. I think more numbers. We work really hard for enrollment. I think more enrollment would help us, or would increase the opportunity or possibility for us to have more programs and more degrees here. That's why we work so hard in recruiting, in advertising and public relations and things like that, to get more students in the classroom. Of course, we're selective. We're looking for good quality graduate students, and for the most part, that's what we get.
Does the undergraduate, I've noticed that the undergraduate program here since the last 4 years has had a couple of concerns with accreditation. Has that been a problem for the graduate
For the graduate program? No. We went through the accreditation process along with the School of Education in the fall of '98, I guess it was, Tamika. And like the School of Education, we passed all 20 standards. We met all 20 standards for NCATE. Really a successful venture for us. Accreditation process is always difficult, but we managed to, thanks to a lot of folks doing a lot of work together in the School of Education, we were quite successful and obviously pleased that that took place. And that accreditation is for 5 years, and a team will return at that time.
Are all graduate classes held here on the SAU campus, or?
No, they're not. We began a program called SAU Live a year ago. And the idea behind SAU Live is to offer courses to students living far enough away from SAU that it's a real problem getting to campus to take classes, especially at night, because most of our classes are offered at night. And what SAU Live represents is a rotation of classes for elementary education or secondary education programs. We offer one in Taylor. We offer one in El Dorado. We offer another, we just began another this spring in Hope, Arkansas. Students can take 50% of their classes right there at their home site. The other 50%, they have to come to campus here in Magnolia. And in that particular program, and it's an accelerated program as well, those students, if they stay in the rotation and not deviate in any way, they can complete their degree requirements in 2 years.
Dr. Bernard, we've heard a lot about your career today. Tell us a little bit about your family life.
I have 2 dogs living with me, and I have a son and a daughter that, of course, are grown, have their own lives. My son is in Greensboro, North Carolina, and my daughter is in Alexandria, Louisiana. I have a beautiful wife, my sweetheart, Dr. Bloss. That's her professional name, Dr. Kim Bloss. And she too is employed here at SAU, and she too teaches in the counselor education program just like I do. So it makes it really nice for us to be able to work together in that regard. She's an administrator as well. She's the chair of curriculum instruction in the School of Education, and she's right next door to me in Cross Hall. So that works well for us too. I love to fish, and we spend as much time as we can, which isn't very much, trying to do that. Love the outdoors.
What type of advice would you give to any students seeking to obtain a master's degree?
Work hard, really hard where you are now. The more you can accomplish, the more you can learn, the more experiences that you can gain while you're an undergraduate student, I assure you it'll pay off as a graduate student. That's your support, that's your basis when you enter that graduate program. And we're going to look at that. When you apply to graduate school, we're going to look at your GPA. We're going to look at your major. We're going to look at how well you did. Some of your experiences while you were a student here at SAU or at some other institution if you're applying to our program. So working really hard, being busy now, pay big dividends down the road when you get ready for graduate school.
Dr. Bernard, is there anyone in your personal background or family background or your career background who's inspired you and motivated you in your career?
I mentioned my daughter earlier. Certainly that was a major motivation to get me started, that initiated me. I think when I reached the doctoral level, while I was working on my doctorate, which can be tough sometimes, I had a great support person in my corner, and that was Dr. Bloss. I can't tell you how many times she helped me out as a support person. And in graduate school, even at the master's level, that's good to have. You're going to be challenged at the graduate level, and it always helps to have somebody pulling for you.
Always good to have family support.
You bet.
Well, we're glad to have you today here on the SAU Report, and that's
Pleasure.
all the time we have today. I'm Jamey Giddens.
And I'm Tamika Gulley.
The SAU Report is a production of broadcast journalism students in the Department of Theater and Mass Communication at Southern Arkansas University in Magnolia.